I think this is my second time.
Second time?
Second time. I can't remember where the other place was, but you know, there certainly would have been easier weekends to do that.
Bristol. You ran triple hitter at Bristol.
Yeah, Bristol, but that one really doesn't count. There's a day off.
That's true.
In between.
That's true. No recoup here, is there?
Yeah, there's no recoup here, which you know, that's all right by me. The heat doesn't bother me so much, and I'm looking forward to it. You know, Kentucky's a place I picked to run the triple header because I like coming out here, and I like the racetrack, and I like the fan support that it gets. So you know, it was part of the rationale behind it, and I think I've got a great shot at winning in all three events. So, you know, it's a bit of a career goal for me to be able to win in all three series on the same weekend, but not so much as it is the goal to just win in general and have quality rides that are capable of doing that, and being at tracks that are great hosts for racing. So that's part of why I picked Kentucky, and I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, last year we were able to win the nationwide race and had a strong showing in the Cup race. I can't remember where we finished 6th or 7th, but led 60 or 70 laps there, and had a shot at it at the end. So I think that's all you can really ask. But I'm looking forward to hopefully having 3 great shots at it, and I think that's a realistic possibility.
Well, thank you, Brad. We'll take questions now. We'll start over here with Steve Post. Go over here to Tom Jensen. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Brad. Steve Post. MRN Radio.
The mics work.
Yeah, they do. They work. And my voice doesn't carry at all. So. The truck series tonight, what are the characteristics you want to feel in the truck? How does it differ from the cars here at this racetrack?
Well, the way the 3 series are structured, with the Cup car making the most amount of horsepower and the least amount of downforce of the 3 series, and then obviously the nationwide car being in between, and then the truck being on the other end of the spectrum, making the least horsepower and the most downforce. I shouldn't say least horsepower. How about the least straightaway speed? You know, that makes the compromises different between the 3 series of what it takes to be a winner. So it's a bit of a moving target. It's been a long time since I've ran a truck race here. And when I did run the truck race here was before the tapered spacer rule. So, you know, the series was a lot different then. So, you know, that makes kind of the experience I have here not that valuable. But, you know, I'm probably going to draw more from the feel that I had off the nationwide car that was able to win here. And trying to have a car that, you know, obviously has some straightaway speed because you don't have a lot to sacrifice. But you've always got to get through the corners at these places. And, you know, it's my hope that we can have a truck that's great through the corners and then rely on the engine shop to make it up horsepower-wise for whatever drag difference there is down the straightaway. So I'd say that's probably more of my approach.
Let's go here to Mark, then we'll go Tom, Bob, and then Claire.
Brad, because it is going to be so hot, are you doing anything different in terms of your hydration, your diet, just how
No, no. I mean, I don't usually have problems with it, so I feel pretty good about it. I know there's some people that do, but I do really well in the heat, so I feel good about it.
Let's go with Tom, then we'll go over here to Bob, and then to Claire.
Hi, Brad. Tom Jensen, Speed.com. We've had 12 different winners in 16 races so far. You're one of the
Cupside, right?
Cupside.
Yep.
You're one of the 4 guys who have won 2 races. You're 10th in points, I believe. Where do you assess where you're at in the season, and where do you assess things going as far as the championship? Because it looks pretty wide open at this point.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's definitely wide open, and you know, I was thinking the other day about it. You know, you look at 8th spot through 12th, essentially being really 9th through 12th, being wide open in the point standings right now at the Cup level, and I think that that's really going to come to a head here over the next few weeks as the pressure obviously starts to succumb. As we get to, you know, where we have just less races left to really get up there. And, you know, obviously having the 2 wins that we do takes a lot of pressure off of my team. But we can't rest. You know, we can't become weak because of that. We need to go out there and continue to have strong runs and execute. And we really need to get another win in my eyes. So I think with our program, we started the year out very, very strong. And, you know, we had some issues earlier in the year with reliability. And we had to, you know, spend a lot of our time focusing on correcting those And in that process, we fell behind a little bit in the speed game, which is, obviously so important in this sport. So, we've got to work back to that. I think that will happen over the next few weeks. And I'm very interested to see, with the rule changes made to the skirt heights and the rear sway bar, how that's going to change where we stand, if we were to break down rankings in speed. I think that's going to get us a lot closer. Those were two things that we were not working on at Penske Racing. And so I'm very curious to see how that resets the competition from a speed platform.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I know that the heat doesn't bother you, but for mere mortals, who are listening, driving on down the highway,
Sure.
How hot do you believe it gets inside of your race car or truck? Because if you guys got a lot of cooling, but still, it's awfully hot here.
It is awfully hot, but if you're looking for like an exact temperature, I would say it'll probably get up to anywhere from 110 to 130 inside of the vehicles over the next few days. Mostly at this time of day are you going to see those temps. During the night, it'll get a little bit better. And no, that's not a comfortable environment, but as a race car driver, I don't think I think you accept the risk of being in a hot environment that's not very friendly, and that's part of it. And I think it's something that I personally enjoy. It's it's a little bit of the macho man thing, and everybody says, I can take the heat better than you can, and I kind of like that challenge.
Let's actually go to the man here from Channel 11. I told him first, and we'll go to Lee and then Reed.
Yeah, Brett, you talked about running all 3 races this weekend. Does running the other 2, do you feel like that gives you any kind of an edge, maybe going into Saturday night, having all that track experience?
I think one of the biggest things it does for me personally, it's a confidence builder. You feel like if you have 2 good runs on, Thursday or Friday, I guess it would be this week, that it really makes you feel better going into Saturday, and not just a confidence builder for yourself, but for your team, whether it's the Cup team or the nationwide team or whatnot. And I enjoy that. I think confidence is really important in this sport. It seems to always help when you have the credibility among your peers, and if you're able to have strong runs, things seem to come just a little bit easier in this sport. So it certainly does help.
Let's go to Lee, then Reed, and then Jeff Hood.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Who won, you or the deer?
Who won me? They ran away. They ran over to Dale's house. Yeah.
Getting back to the development of the 2013 cars, are you guys like full steam ahead on the Ford cars? And, how much of a disadvantage do you feel you are right now being a lame duck as far as manufacturers go? And
Sure.
do you think that that's been a problem at all for your teammate who's, had his own share of mechanical struggles?
Well, I'll start off with, you asked how far along we are on the 13 car, if I believe that was your first question. I think that as of now, the 13 car is mostly in control by the manufacturers and getting the approval process done through NASCAR. I don't think any of the teams are very far ahead. I think it's all still in the manufacturer's hand for the most part. So I know that's where we're at. And as that approval comes from, NASCAR on the aero numbers and the shapes and designs of the cars, I'm sure we'll ramp that up. But that's where my understanding's at. I might be wrong, but that was as of last week. I think we're still all pushing forward on the NASCAR end before we push forward on the team end, because nobody wants to go out and build something that you've got a lot of time invested in and not be to the spirit or intent of what NASCAR is looking for. So that's where we're at right now. There might be some other groups that are further ahead, but I'm not sure. I know that's our philosophy. But going back to your other question was about this year's car and. No, I don't think we're at a disadvantage. I think if there was ever a time to switch a manufacturer, this was the time. I don't think we're at any more of a disadvantage switching than we were in being the situation that we're in now as the only 2 cars as Dodgers. I think that the way the development cycle is working for 2013, Obviously, a lot of people are going to have to put their eggs in that basket earlier this year than they would last year if you were to keep the same body design and so forth. But I think that's across the board, and I think there's never been a better time to switch. The only thing that we have to do that nobody else has to do as far as extra development is concerned is all based around the engine situation and making it fit and doing all those things it takes. So I feel pretty good about that. And keep in mind, I've said this once and I'm going to keep wearing it out. Penske holds the keys to Dodge development through their agreement. So if we stop developing, it's not going to be because someone told us to. It's going to be because we decided to. And I think everybody here knows Roger Penske well enough to know that if we have a shot at winning the championship, there's no way he's going to stop developing the current car to be the best it can be if we have a legitimate run at it. And so for those reasons, I feel very confident that 2013 is going to be, or 2012 is going to be as strong as anyone else.
Let's go Reed, Jeff Hood. Where'd Jeff Hood go? Right here, and then Rusty.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Brad, you described the new rules as potential game changer. Most crew chiefs seem to think that the sway bar rule may have a bigger impact than the side skirts. Would
Sure.
you explain to us laymen what impact the sway bar rule, the new perpendicular to the ground, that sort of thing may have?
Well, what you're looking at is two major changes. One probably affects all the field, and one affects half the field. And I want to be very careful about it because the one that affects half the field, it's a natural tendency of the press and the fans to say that half of the field was cheating, which I don't think was the case. They developed their cars to perform better, and they deserve the credit for that. But the side skirt rule obviously is going to take away some of the aero grip of the cars. As the cars go into the air and turn into yaw, they act very much like a sail. And essentially, anyone that understands boats knows that if you take a sail and cut part of the fin off of it, it's not going to work as well. And so that's the same thing in the race cars, in layman's terms. It's just not going to turn in the air as well, which is good. I think the intent of that change is to reduce the dependency on aero grip and hopefully, from a fan's perspective, produce better side-by-side racing because you don't depend on that grip so much to make your car perform. So I think that's a great change that, to the best of my knowledge, has the unanimous support of the garage. So I'm happy to see that. The other change with the the perpendicular sway bars is essentially a skew change rule that keeps the cars that you see out there today as they crab walk down the straightaway. There were some teams that had taken that to the next level and put extra skew in their car through the rear sway bar that allowed it to perform a little bit better through the corners and was certainly worth some speed. So, with that being taken away, those teams deserve the credit for developing those parts and making them work. And NASCAR felt like they were outside of the intent of the rules, obviously, by creating a rule specifically to stop it. So, they didn't do anything illegal. They just, took advantage of the rules as they stand and found some performance that they deserve credit for. But now with there being a rule specifically against that, I think most of the people in the garage would say that those cars that were running those devices will slow down quite a bit.